understand that, and this is not a talking point, this is not a press talking point, I'll just say that the configuration of that was about economic parity and justice, and in the context of how it was removed. There wasn't anything that specifically replaced it with that same kind of language. However, there's an entire plank in our platform this time around that speaks to the critical importance of faith-based institutions, the critical importance of faith communities in the work that they do, in the partnership that they have with government in a larger sense. The word faith is used, I believe, 11 times. The word religion is used 9 times. You can tell I've been talking to our communications department. The word clergy is used once. And I guess I'm trying to say this. While it may be a reasonable point of discussion as to whether or not that term could have been lifted from our platform, but the issue is this, that what we're doing here now, and the fact that we're gathering around this concern. The word God was mentioned 30 times last night by various speakers on the podium. So yeah, they've got me ready now for the press later on today. But the point I'm trying to make is, it would be fine to have some ontological, teleological, theological statement in our document.
Yes,
but if
sir.
we don't engage like we need to engage, then what is it? You know, I read somewhere sounding brass or tinkling. I've got to stop this. We've got to go. But I want to say that I think it's important. I hope, even though we're small, and that has a lot to do with the fact that folks are getting ready to go elsewhere, the buses are still coming. Even though we're small in number, I hope it resonates with those of you who are here. That we're doing this. We're making the heavy lift. We didn't have to do this, but we're doing this because I believe in the multiplier effect, and I'm thankful for all of you who are here, and I trust that as we engage in this conversation, that what we do here and what goes on in this convention will really implicate who we are as a party and who we are as Americans. So this represents let me do the math, the 5th gathering here at the Democratic National Convention around the essential nature of, the importance of, the centrality of, the foundational particulars of faith. We met on Monday morning from 9 to 10 for prayer and for inspirational conversation around the transcendent values that draw us together as a party. We met on Monday at noon from 12 to 2, and we talked again about those things that bring commonalities to us in our faith traditions, but at the same time, how the distinctiveness of those traditions enrich us as a party, yes, but even more importantly as a nation. We met on Tuesday morning, once again, for prayer, for discussion. We met this morning for prayer, for discussion, and we're meeting now. Faith is an integral part of the Democratic Party. I had someone a long time ago say to me, it's not what you write down, it's how you live it out. And the temerity of individuals to cast aspersion on the value of faith because of a shift in a paragraph that wasn't even speaking about faith, was using a term, God-given, in a much broader sense about economic parity, to cast the aspersion that somehow means that God is excised from our work and from who we see ourselves as part of the American story, is just unconscionable. It's also important to remember that did any of you watch the convention last night? Were any of you there last night? If you were counting, and you heard the word God, you couldn't stop counting at 12. You couldn't stop counting at 14. You couldn't stop counting at 19. You couldn't stop counting at 25. The New York Times, they do the assessment of how many words are used, and you heard people speak about God 30 times last night. You heard Julian Castro talk about his grandmother making the sign of the cross behind him and his twin brother as they made their way to school every day. How dare anybody say that faith is not an integral part of who we are as a party? So here is your assignment. You know, I can't be a pastor without giving the folk an assignment after the service. And that is to make sure that you are the clarions for the embodiment of the importance of faith in what we do as a party and what we do as Americans. Don't put any credence to the lie that somehow faith is not an integral part of who we are as Democrats. Somebody ought to say amen.
Amen.